Bam. Bam. My peoples. My peoples. Welcome to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, when you get your healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. Y'all already know what we doing, man. We talking boxing. And let me just say, it doesn't matter if it's cold, hot, windy, raining, sunny. It don't matter the weather. Wherever you at, my peoples, if you up, if you breathing, it's a beautiful day. God gave us another one. Thank you, God. Yes, sir. And let me give a shout out to those who already tuned in, showing love. Toy Mafia, Side, Damon Ford in the building. The Lunatic Librarian, salute family, the letter M. Marie. What's the deal, my peoples? Y'all know how we doing this, man. We talking boxing. And today, Marie, bam, oh, Wandule, bam, in the building. My peoples, we're going to talk about upcoming fights. We got some real good fights. 2026 is shaping up to be a good one. We've already had a good start to the year. We had Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, and we've had some other fights. But this one is also one of those that is on the way for 2026. Well, not Boots and Virgil. My bad. That's not even the right image. Hold on, my peoples. Hold on, my peoples. Hold on. Boots and Xander Sayas, my peoples. We're going to get that smoke. Now, I want you guys to consider this. Quite some time, people have considered Xander Sayas the weakest link in the 154 division. You guys probably seen it. And some of you may have even said it. Xander Sayas is the weakest link. Yet, this fight, as is being reported, is being pushed by Xander Sayas, or was being pushed. It's already a done deal. It's happening. But Sayas was the guy who actually pushed for this fight. And I know you guys remember that fake narrative that was out there about how Bob Arum had to give up Xander Sayas to get a contract with the Zone. Like, that shit was crazy. That shit was crazy. Like, somebody really made that up out of thin air and just put it all over social media. Literally made it up out of thin air. The Lunatic Librarian. Boots has a cult following like Spence did. That community is very biased and blind. Well, I gotta tell you, Boots, looking at his talent, there's no reason to believe that he loses this fight. He's going to be the favorite. I want you to think about it. He just moved up in weight, had one fight at 154, and this is his second fight, and he's going to be the favorite. The letter M. I'm tapping my arm vein, pumping. I need my face. I got you, the letter M. Get this healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. But, my peoples, this is one fight right here that I'm pretty sure we're all looking forward to. Does it go the distance? Does somebody get knocked out in this fight? Man, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Look what Xander Sayas saying. I'm going to rip his heart out. So, something for you guys to take into consideration. Xander Sayas is a natural 154 pounder. That's where he's been at. Boots is a guy who has one fight at 154, but the first 30 fights of his career, or 31, something like that, was in the welterweight division. He got one fight at 154 pounder. Although he's super young, but still. Now, something that I have to point out. Boots is a naturally big dude. It was big at 147. like he's a small guy moving up, and Xander's size is not gonna look bigger than him in the ring. They're both big dudes. So it's gonna be a very competitive fight. And I'm gonna tell you what, this is one of those that I feel like we're gonna see the fireworks in the first round. They're gonna study each other a little bit, and then both of them are gonna try to set the tone. Like, check out what I got for you, homie. The letter M, the lunatic librarian. If I was Zayas, I work on the pivot and counter, like Karen doing to Boots. Let's see what's gonna be Xander Side's game plan. The thing is, my peoples, it's hard to plan for Boots because you really don't know if he's gonna, approach you as a southpaw, if he's gonna be orthodox, which side is he gonna be on most of the time. Sometimes he just stays on one side. You just never know with him. So it's hard to prepare for Boots, just like it was hard to prepare for Terrence Crawford. How do you prepare, to fight a guy that can do it from both sides? It's gonna be a very interesting fight because Size is a very skilled fighter. His ring IQ is up there as well. So, you're talking about two guys that they're gonna get their shots off. Boots is gonna get hit. Don't get it twisted. I don't want you guys to think that with Boots being the favorite, he's going to step in there and wash Xander Sayers. However, I will say, Boots himself, as according to him, said that it's going to go however I want it to go. That's it. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. So Boots is planning on going in there and dominating Xander Sayers. Simple as that. You guys have to understand, when it comes to Jerron Boots Ennis, he's the type of fighter who doesn't just want to win. He want to win in spectacular fashion because he's one of those guys who's going to be gunning for that face of boxing spot. Jerron Boots Ennis. And the thing is, a win for Xander Sayers could jump him in there into that group of fighters that are trying to become the next face of the sport. The Hydro Grind. Salute, family. Bam! Who do you got in this fight? Do you got Jerron Boots Ennis or do you got Xander Sayers? Who wins this showdown? I gotta tell you, my peoples. I know that most boxing fans say that Bo's gonna win this fight. Most. But an upset happens because nobody's expecting it. That's why upsets happen. Marie, Jerron Ennis is getting the W. Not easy, though. The lunatic librarian. Karen didn't care about all that showboating. Size will be wise to step to Boots' chest. Make Boots see him. I think this is going to be a fight where we see a little bit of strategy. I mean, they're both going to be having a strategy, a game plan. Plan A, plan B. But I think ultimately this is going to turn into a fight inside of a phone booth. They're going to box. They both have the ability to box, to use that footwork, to use that movement. Size showed it in his last fight. Boots has shown that before. They both got great footwork. Well, Boots got better footwork. But Xander Size got real footwork as well. So I think that there's going to be moments in this fight when we see them boxing, when we see both of them, they both have a real good jab. It's going to be in full effect. But they're going to get on the inside, my people. They're going to get dirty. They're going to get in the trenches and trade nasty leather. The Hydro Grind. Does a win over Boots play Size in the pound-for-pound list? He captured 2 belts at his early age. calling out everyone, wants to unify. Imagine adding a W against a hard opponent like Boots. I mean, if he beat Boots, I'm not sure that it's going to put him on the pound for pound list, because you have to understand the people that are there and the resume that they have. So one win doesn't beat an entire resume. You know, that's what we have to take into consideration. Let me see something. Let me see the ranked top 10 right now. Ranked top 10 pound for pound. Right now. Oh, damn, this is an old list. Looking at some old bullshit. Oh, let me see. Oh, here we go. Look at the ranked top 10 right now. So we got Usyk at the number 1 spot. Here's the top 10 pound for pound list. The Ring Magazine joint. Usyk is at the number 1 spot. Naoya Inoue number 2. Shakur Stevenson number 3. Jesse Bam Rodriguez number 4. Dmitry Bivol number 5. Arthur Beterbiev number 6. Junto Nakatani number 7. David Benavidez number 8. Devin Haney number 9. Oscar Collazo number 10. So here's the deal. Does a win over Jerome Boots Ennis put Xander Sayers over Oscar Collazo to take that number 10 spot? I'm going to say yes, man. And Oscar Collazo, he's killing it. Killing it to accomplishing. But I think, yes, Xander Sayers, if he beat Boots, he could land at the number 10 spot. Real talk. The Lunatic Librarian. How is Benavidez below Nakatani? I mean, Nakatani's more accomplished, bro. Nakatani. Look at the resume so you can see Nakatani been accomplishing too. Look, watch this. I'm checking out the titles won by Junto Nakatani. And check this out. WBO Flyweight from 2020 to 2022. WBO Super Flyweight from 2020 to 2023. WBC Bantamweight from 2024 to 2025. And IBF Bantamweight from 2025 to present. He's also the Ring Magazine Bantamweight champion. So the thing about Junto Nakatani is that he fights in such low division that he's accomplishing a lot of things while flying under the radar to most of us. Because those are fights, you know, that oftentimes we don't even get to see. In those divisions, a lot of those big fights happen in Japan and networks under promotional companies that we don't know about. We just don't get to see them. But Junto Nakatani, my peoples, he might be Naoya Inoue, his toughest fight. Up to date, I was Naoya Inoue's toughest fight was Nonito Donaire, the first time they fought. But now, come on, man. Junto Nakatani's for real. And I told people, you know, because a lot of fans see that Junto Nakatani had a tough fight with his last opponent, and they're like, yeah, Naoya's going to wash him. Naoya's going to wash him. But you forget Naoya has also had opponents that he had a tough fight with. It happens in boxing. You know, it couldn't stop Picasso. That went the distance. It happens in the sport of boxing. But you have to understand, Junto Nakatani, my people, he for real. Styles made fights. He had a tough fight with that opponent. That doesn't mean that he's going to get washed by Naoya Inoue. You can expect to see a real good fight. It's going to be a showdown, a serious one. The Hydro Grind, take Collazo out and put Zayas number 10 if he beat Boots. Yeah, I think so. If Xander Sayers beat Jerome Boots Ennis, I think he could take that number 10 spot. This a tall order, my peoples. Y'all know Jerome Busan is that dude, right? The letter M. I see it going the distance. Size is very skilled, but I see Boost winning the scorecards. With that said, I stand with Puerto Rico. Look, I expect it to be a very competitive fight, a real good one. I commend Sanders Sayers for taking this fight, and I say that because you guys already know this. We spoke about it. Boots is not his mandatory. He didn't have to fight Boots. You don't have to. Let that sizzle in your spirit. While some fighters out there ducking Boots and don't want nothing to do with him, Josh Kelly was like, Boots, yeah, I'm not interested. You know, I want to do something else. Xander Zayas is running towards the smoke. While people are running away from the smoke, Zayas is running towards it. He cut from that cloth. He a different animal. The Hydro Grind, Benavidez has only the WBC. It's his first title, right? Nah, Benavidez is 2-division champion. He got to be a champion at 160. If I'm not mistaken, I'm almost sure he got to be. Pugilism. If sanctioning bodies were smart, they unite with BoxRec as a media piece to compete with Ring Magazine belt and Riyadh season Zuffa. I mean, it's hard to see that happening simply because sanctioning bodies that have their own interests, they won't even unite with each other. So it's hard to see that happening, you know. Like, Zuffa boxing is different because they just came into the scene and they started, you know, doing all these things the way that they operate. But the sanctioning bodies have been doing it the way that they do it for so many years. Those are dinosaurs. The people working in the sanctioning bodies, if you see Sulaiman and all of the people in their 70s, maybe a next generation will consider that. But these dinosaurs, that's out of the question, bro. Underrated Will, bam. We talking about this fight, my brother Xander Sayers, Jerome Boost Ennis. It's a big fight, man. And I was just giving flowers to Xander Sayers for taking it when he didn't have to. Pause. Boots is saying that he's going to show up and do whatever he want to do. It's going to play out the way he wants it to play out. He planning on bullying Xander Sayers out there. The Hydro Grind. I've seen Boots get hit flush and hard. Yeah, nah. Boots get hit. But I got to say this. Boots got the ability. He got the skills to turn into the Matrix out there. And turn into the unhittable. I've seen him do it. So he's somebody who likes to entertain the fans. Likes to, you know, put together a great performance. Make it an enjoyable fight to watch. And for himself to perform. He's out there to show out. So when you're willing to sit in the pocket and trade leather a little bit longer, sometimes you're going to get caught. You're going to get hit. And it's part of the game. So you risk a little bit, but it makes it a better fight, a more interesting fight, and it makes him a star faster. Because that's the ultimate goal, right? To become a star. That's where he's headed. So Jerome Boots Ennis and Xander Sayers, whoever wins, they'll probably be in the number 10 pound for pound spot in the world. They'll probably take out Collazo out of that spot. Because either guy winning, it's a monster win. My people, David Benavidez, we're previewing upcoming fights. David Benavidez versus Zurdo. Pugilism. And that's the reason Zuffa Riyadh Ring Magazine also succeeds. Because sanctioning bodies not giving up their brand and leveraging also, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. They continue doing goofballery stuff. But in reality, they're all going to be in the game. You know, they're all going to have success. There's always going to be fighters that want to pursue belts from the sanctioning bodies. And then we're going to see fighters pursuing Zuffa belts and that side of things. So I think Zuffa is just another addition to boxing. It's not that they're gonna wipe everybody else out. Everybody's gonna have success. It's enough to go around for everybody. The lunatic librarian. The Hydrogrind, I disagree. Boxing lost because manipulated outcome have zero integrity. More WWE. Pugilism. I just watch them all PBC. Ultimately, they will cross over and fight for the big bag. The letter M. Benavidez should be higher up on the pound for pound list, in my opinion. I mean, I'm going to tell you what. Benavidez is going to go on a crazy run. Benavidez is about to go on a crazy run. Why do I say that? Because think about this. He's about to fight Zurdo, right? He says after Zurdo, he's going to move down and fight Bivol and Beterbiev. And then after that, he's planning on moving back up to fight Jai Opetaia. So imagine if he beat those four back-to-back in a row like that. Zurdo, Bivol, Beterbiev, Opetaia. Where the hell he going to be on the pound-for-pound list by that point? If he beat all of those guys, back-to-back, he's already in the top 5. Possibly top 3. Depending on what everybody else does. Because, you know, we're thinking ahead. We don't know if he's able to make those fights or if some of those fights get away from him. But I have to say, you know, for the people who say that Benavidez should be higher on the pound-for-pound list, look at the ones that's ahead of him. Right ahead is Junto Nakatani. Junto Nakatani, I showed you his accomplishments, bro. He's more accomplished than David Benavidez. And he's been winning titles for longer than David Benavidez. It's just that most people don't know the opponents that he's facing in those lower divisions. There you see Arthur Beterbiev, my peoples. Beterbiev was an undisputed champion. Benavidez never been that. Bivol, undisputed champion, the first guy to beat Beterbiev. Bam Rodriguez, you guys know, been undisputed multi-division champion. Dennis Shakur Stevenson, now yeah, you know, Alexander Usyk. So if you're going to bump David Benavidez up, who are you really going to remove from that top 7? They're all, everybody who's ahead of Benavidez is more accomplished than he is. So who do you move down? The lunatic librarian. Benavidez will punish Zurdo. It's going to be an entertaining for the people. Have that ambulance on standby. It's going to be a good fight, man. I'm going to be the one to tell you right now. Because don't get it twisted. Zurdo, we know he ain't no bum. Hold on now. Zurdo Ramirez ain't no bum. He's going in there feeling like he could whoop David Benavidez. And by the way, Benavidez, he's up in a higher division fighting this guy. Remember, he will be moving back down to 175. So he's facing a big opponent. A strong knockout artist type of opponent. And you know, in those higher divisions, one punch can change the outcome of everything. Boom, before you know it, you dancing salsa and another 2-piece combo, you out of there. So Benavidez, he has to respect what Zurdo brings to the table because Zurdo is a strong, big, technical, skilled fighter. Come on, don't get it twisted. Now, we know what David Benavidez brings to the table. And I can tell you right now, my expectations are that Benavidez is going to put the Swiss, the Dre, and the respective Apple beats on Zurdo. But it's going to be a good fight. Especially in the beginning. It's going to get nasty. Marie, Beterbiev earned to be on that list. You see what I'm saying? Beterbiev, like who do we move back in order to push Benavidez up? The lunatic librarian. Beterbiev is nasty work. If he was in his prime, unbeatable. That's the only thing, man. Beterbiev is like 40 years old already. I think he's 40. So at that age, that's it. It's only the inevitable that Father Time start to take over. Trent Thomas, the monster, is at a critical point of his career. All of his fights are important. Come on now. And here's the deal. The Mexican monster is one of those guys who's trying to become the face of boxing. He's really gunning for that. You have to understand, Benavidez is also 28 years old. He young. He a youngin' too, and we don't even... Benavidez has been on the spotlight for such a long time that he almost come across like a veteran. He a veteran. Bro, Benavidez only 28 years old. That shit is mind-blowing. 28. So he's going to be gunning for that top spot too. Don't get it twisted. And that's why he don't just want to beat Zurdo. He want to beat him up. Beat him up. That's the type of performance that you can expect from the Mexican monster. The letter M. If Zayas wins, he's going to be the man. Listen, if Zayas can win that fight, he's on the pound-for-pound list. Can he be the first guy to beat Jerome Busanis? That's tough. That's tough. We're going to find out. Pugilism. Benavidez belongs. And pound-for-pound, 1 through 10, can always be spot on except the order. Is preference the order, basically? The lunatic, like, well, it's not preference because we're talking about accomplishment. Where's the preference if everybody above David Benavidez is more accomplished than David Benavidez? So with David Benavidez, how exactly can you make an argument about preference if everybody ahead of him has won more titles? So that argument falls short, pugilism. The lunatic librarian. Zurdo showed his lack of discipline approaching the Bivol fight. We saw that one-sided victory for Bivol. I think Zurdo struggled with Bivol's speed, which is why I feel like Benavidez' punch output, even in the higher division, is going to give him problems. The hydro grind. Zurdo got that Mexican mentality with a cruiserweight belt. There you have it. He want to go in there and trade. He want to beat you up. Zurdo want to outgun you. He want to out-tough you. And that's not the way that you're going to beat the Mexican monster, my people. I'm telling you right now. The way that you're going to beat the Mexican monster, if he ever loses, because David Benavidez might retire undefeated. But if he ever loses, it's probably going to be to a slick boxer. It's going to be to somebody who got fast hands and elite level footwork, and they're able to touch and go. And Benavidez, you know, he's great at cutting off the ring, but this opponent, you know, his footwork is marvelous, his angles, and Benavidez just can't get to him. And then this slick boxer beats him on the cards. But you're not going to out-tough him. That's why I tell you, when people talk about Jai Opetaia and David Benavidez, first I say, look at Jai Opetaia's resume. He ain't never fight nobody nowhere near the level of Benavidez. And Opetaia is going to go in there and he's going to try to outgun him. He's going to try to out-tough him. You're not going to out-tough the Mexican monster. It's just not happening. The letter M. Zayas' popularity will skyrocket crazy if he wins. That's a fact, my G. That is a fact. Oh, Chemical sent one boxer and a J. Smith gift membership. Whoa. Salute, Chemical. Bam, I appreciate you. You already know what it is, man. Your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Giving you this sweet science early in the morning. Yes, sir. Underrated Will. Bam. The hydro grind. You see it, man. Chemical out here looking out for the peoples. Raul Mercado, good morning, family. Bam! Salute, bro. Trent Thomas, yeah. He been a victory of boxing politics at its worst. Pugilism, preference on the sanctioning body ranking. The hydro grind, slick boxer like Bivol. I would say, yeah. I would say a slick boxer like Bivol. The thing about Bivol, though, is that he's more willing to engage. He's more willing to engage. and trade. I'm not talking about like Bivol. I'm talking about more somebody like Devin Haney, who can actually fight off of that foot. He hasn't been doing it though. Devin hasn't been doing it, but he can fight off of the way he fought Ramirez. Pugilism, Benavidez versus Buffalo. Black Escalade in the building. Salute, family. Dodger Bryan, you talking more like Ben Whitaker. Ben Whitaker, but he has to get developed a lot. A lot. You know, Ben Whitaker has, what, like 9 professional fights? There's a lot of developing when it comes to, he's years away from a fight like that. The Lunatic Librarian, Bivol has mastered that Soviet style. He has. That is a fact. So my peoples, just to give you a quick recap, the first fight we was talking about was Jerome Boots Ennis versus Xander Science. That's going down. Now we talking about the Mexican Monster versus Zurdo. That's going down. But here's an interesting fight that's going down, my peoples. Whoa. Whoa. Abdullah Mason first title defense versus Joe Cordina. Whoa. It's a good fight. This a good fight. Abdullah Mason is getting right to it. This a legit title defense. Not no little easy cherry pick. By the way, Cordina is the #1 ranked fighter in the WBO. He's a dude. So, you know, Abdullah has a very good opponent in front of him. And you have to take into consideration the way that he had to win his title. He won it the hard way. Sam Noakes, salute to Sam Noakes. He took Abdullah Mason all the way to the limit. If you think about Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes, which, by the way, that's probably a fight of the year, you know, it's definitely a fight of the year candidate. If you think about the way that fight played out, and Noakes pushed Mason all the way to the limit. Abdullah had to be better than he ever been. He had to dig deep to win that fight. And let me tell you this right now. Let me be the first to tell you, because I haven't heard people saying it. I want to be the one you hear and say, yeah, he said that. Sam Noakes is going to be a world champion, my peoples. That's how good that dude is. He's going to become a world champion. So you may have understood how good of a win that was for Abdullah Mason when it happened. But if you did not, when Sam Noakes become a world champion, you'll be like, oh shit, that's the guy that Abdullah beat. So he could become a champion. They might even meet again, my peoples. They might have to see each other for unification. Because Sam Noakes is that good. So if you don't believe in him, I'm telling you, you should. But this is a good fight for Abdullah Mason. And I'm going to tell you why. We spoke about this yesterday, but I want to give you a recap of why this is a good matchup for Abdullah. Trent Thomas, this is a good fight. I say this 50-50 fight. Last fight was a war. His opponent will return. Yeah, listen. Like I said, my brother, Sam Noakes, I expect him to become a world champion. He's that good. Guy's that good, bro. Look, I want to show you something. Okay? Abdullah Mason, remember, he fought Sam Noakes. They went to war. That was a dogfight. Now, he's going to fight Joe Cordina. Now, Joe Cordina only has one loss on his resume. Only one person beat him, and that was Anthony Kakachi. If you don't know Kakachi, he nice. He can fight. But I want you to consider this. Joe Cordina has 19 wins, 9 knockouts. Right? So he's not exactly a knockout artist. The last time he knocked somebody out was in 2022. So I say that's a good matchup for Abdullah Mason, because he just fought somebody who is a power puncher. Somebody with a high knockout percentage. Somebody who's a seek and destroy type of fighter who he had to go to war with to win that fight. He's coming off of that type of fight. So it's not good for fighters to have back-to-back fights like that because you're young. He'll be punch drunk by the age of 30 fighting like that. You can't do it like that all the time. So he's going to go from a power puncher like Sam Noakes into a more technical fighter in Joe Cordina, who's going to box him more, who's going to be more technical with it, more movement. And this is also going to be a different challenge for Abdullah Mason. Because you also have to take that into consideration. It's a better matchup, but it's also a different challenge. Last fight, he showed you I can bang. If I need to bang, I could do that and beat you at that game. But we all know the skills. Abdullah Mason is a guy who can box, who can move. The hydro grind. Abdullah by stoppage. Well, Joe Cordina got one loss and he did get stopped. But he's nice with it. He's nice with it. Don't get it twisted. The hydro grind. I feel it's an easy fight for Mason. I saw Cordina versus Kakachi. He was getting destroyed. Then I saw him versus Flores. And in my opinion, he lost that fight. Hold on, but Kakachi's nice. Kakachi's one of these fighters who just isn't famous. Don't have a big name. But he nice with it. Kakachi nice, bro. Look, this is going to be a competitive showdown. Joe Cordina, Abdullah Mason might be able to break him down. And then in the later rounds, tee off on him. But before, he starts showing that wear and tear, Joe Cordina is going to put up a good fight. He got quick hands, technical fighter, good movement. He's going to make it competitive. The hydro grind, Abdullah by stoppage, pugilism. Cordina just had a good fight in pro box, right? I don't remember where he fought his last fight, to be honest. The hydro grind, Kakachi nice. But he like 50 years old. But he nice, bro. I don't know how old he is. I know he nice. Daisy Sanchez. Cordina is so bad. Look, and I want you guys to think about this. Abdullah Mason is a young fighter who just won his title, his first title. This is a real good, real high quality title defense for him. That resume, Abdullah is right now 21 years old. And that resume, Cordina's a good name to add to that resume. Sam Noakes, time is going to show you how good that name is on that resume. I told you he's going to become a world champion. So Abdullah Mason, I like the fact that he really does have that appetite for that smoke. He's really trying to get those type of fights. And, by the way, he spoke out about Keyshawn Davis. And he said the same thing I said. He was like, I think Keyshawn Davis is trolling. Franchise. Good evening from Germany. Salute family. Bam. He said, I think Keyshawn Davis is trolling. You know why? Because he knows that we're in different divisions. I got the belt that he had. He had to move up. But he knows where I'm at. He knows it's not happening because where he's at. So he's trolling. But when I go up there, I'm going to see him. So Abdullah Mason, young lion, accomplishing. When the time is right, he and Keyshawn Davis, they're going to see each other. Whether it's at 140 or 147, we're going to end up getting Abdullah Mason versus Keyshawn Davis. Remember, I told you that. The Lunatic Librarian. If you follow boxing, worldwide amateurs to the pros, all these fighters are known for real. Pugilism. Yeah. He beat Gabe Flores on Pro Box in December. Trent Thomas. Get the lights up. No ghost watching, my peoples. Come on, man. We still ghost watching at this point in the game. Double tap that screen. Double tap. Another upcoming fight, my people, that it looks like we're going to get. Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu. Whoa. Come on, my peoples. Daisy Sanchez, who hasn't beat Gabe Flores? Damn, at this point, everybody beat him up. Trent Thomas, that's right. Let him know to get the lights up. My peoples, Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence. That's an intriguing matchup. That's a very interesting fight. And what makes it interesting? Number one, from Timmy's side, we saw him take some bad losses, and some people kind of gave up on him. So there's a perception like, oh, he's not the same, but he looked spectacular in his last outing. And I told you before, I expect Tim Tszyu to become a world champion. At one point or another, he's going to hold the belt. I'm telling you. Now, you know, the questions with Timmy, how durable is he? You know, if he start getting clipped, if he start getting hit with good shots, is he, you know, just going to go downhill from there? Or is he going to be able to overcome adversity when the time comes, or if the time comes? There's that question mark, right? But then you have Errol Spence. Last fight of his career right now is Terrence Crawford. And you guys remember how that played out. Beating of a lifetime for Errol. Right now he's been inactive for 2.5 years. So with the inactivity that we're seeing from Errol Spence, and with the losses that Tim Tszyu has taken in the last part of his career, who wins this fight? We've seen Timmy getting pummeled. We've seen Errol getting battered. But if they meet each other, and Errol Spence has, you know, 2.5 years of inactivity, Timmy's coming off of a real good win where he performed real good. How does it play out when they face each other? The lunatic librarian, you mean a repeat world champion? He was the WBO 154 champ. Wayne fought Fundora. There you have it. Daisy Sanchez, Joe Cordina has no power. That's why I said before that he's a good matchup for Abdullah Mason, because this is not going to be a war like his last fight. It's actually going to be a boxing match where we'll see the more technical aspect of both parties, and it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be entertaining. But Abdullah doesn't need to go to, you know, fight somebody that he's going to have to go to war against. Franchise Spence KO in 6. Whoa. Side. Battle of the Broken. Whoa. Trent Thomas. Tim and Spence. Just let us see what they have at this point. It's true. It's true. We're going to see which fighter. Like, if they do fight each other next, we're going to see who can actually fight for a title in the division and compete, and who shouldn't even give it a try. The loser of this fight, if they get pummeled or if they get knocked out, it's like, bro, don't even go fight for a title. Just chill out. Go fight some pizza delivery guys, some bus drivers, some Taco Bell, chalupa, rollers, stuff like that. Franchise. Tim ain't Costa. Well, look, he's not Costa Tszyu, but there's a lot of similarities in his style, bro. A lot of similarities. You know, I could show you a video of Costa Tszyu and Timmy, and the way that they shoot the 1-2 down the middle, and the way that they pull with the jab. Like this, there's some subtleties that Timmy is a carbon copy of his pops. Carbon copy. He hasn't been as focused as Costa Azul, I don't want to say he hasn't been as disciplined because he is a disciplined fighter. But Costa Azul seemed to have been more focused than Tim. But let's see. Let's see. Look, I'm going to tell you like this. Think about when Tim Tszyu was undefeated and he took his first L to Sebastian Fundora. Before getting clipped with that elbow and taking that cut to the dome piece, Timmy was winning that fight. He was catching Fundora. Good. He was catching him. Then he had blood all over his face, and that's it. It all went to shit from there. But I'm telling you that to say that he was competing against Fundora. Now with Bakram Murtasaliev, here's the deal. Young Guns, salute family, bam. Here's the deal with Bakram Murtasaliev. Nobody really knew him. Timmy was expected to knock him out. Murtasaliev was the underdog in that fight. The guy coming out of nowhere. Dude fighting in small venues. We don't know you. You're getting beat up. That was the mindset going into that fight. And the biggest mistake that Tim Tszyu made in that one is that when he started getting caught with big shots, he kept staying in the pocket. He kept trying to outgun Murtasaliev. And he just kept taking punishment. So instead of, start using his movement, his footwork, his angles, he just stood right there trying to bang it out with him. And that was a big mistake. He paid the price. And then, of course, he lost the rematch to Fundora. So Tim Tszyu has lost to 2 fighters, but look to who he lost. Costa Azul lost too. In fact, Costa Azul lost to Vince Phillips early in his career. Got his ass whooped. That happens in boxing. You got to remember, Costa Azul wasn't one of these fighters who went 30-0 undefeated. He lost early. Just like Timmy. He just didn't lose that many times. He lost 1 fight and then he went on a tear. The lunatic librarian, even in the second fight, he was flying his head. Nothing like Thurman. I mean, damn, Thurman just got completely dominated. Keith Thurman just got dominated. He was like a little kid out there fighting a grown man. Marie, that's exactly what Murtasaliev wanted. He doesn't like the style like Josh Kelly. And I felt like Murtasaliev beat Josh Kelly, by the way. But yeah, that's his style. Murtasaliev want to stand in there and bat with you. Let's fight. That's how Murtasaliev fights. So Tim Tszyu went into that one, and when he started getting hurt, he kind of just wanted to fight back, and he kept getting hurt. Kept wanting to fight back, and ultimately he got pummeled. Trent Thomas, Tim some damage. He should not have, which may cost him later. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. But Tim Tszyu, look, Tim looked good in his last fight. Looked fast, strong, had that jab going. Defense was good, slipping punches. He looked good out there. For Errol Spence, we don't have a reference. The last time we saw Errol, he was getting battered by Terrence Crawford. That's the last time we saw him. So we don't really know. I will say this. I see images. I see images of Errol Spence, and he looks like he's in real good shape. I know you guys seen the videos of him putting up that road work. I think I seen a video of him hitting the pads and hitting the bag. So Errol, he's working. And we spoke about that before. That is obvious. He was preparing to make a comeback. Of course. We're going to see Errol Spence, and we just don't know what version of Errol Spence we're going to get. We don't know. It is hard to really guess. How is Errol Spence coming back after that Terrence Crawford beating? Because you have to be honest, he took the beating of a lifetime. And Terrence Crawford is such a hated fighter that people didn't even want to admit that he was just better. They held on to the accident. I know y'all remember that. We don't even got to talk about the accident. Yeah, no, Errol's not the same anymore. I'm still trying to figure out how the same people who told me, Errol Spence is going to knock Terrence Crawford out. Errol Spence is going to beat him up. How are you going to tell me that? And then the day after the fight, you come on the show, Errol Spence is not the same after the accident. He's different now. Like, god damn. How y'all switch gears so quick? That's diabolical, my peoples. Like, look, I would have believed you if you would have been saying that before the fight. I'm telling you, my peoples, if you would have said that before the fight, I would have believed you. But I can't believe you when you start saying it after the fight. After you watch Errol get pummeled, now you bring up the accident. Before the fight, you wasn't bringing it up. I don't understand it. Why people do that? How you went from telling me that Errol Spence was the big fish and he was going to knock Crawford out, and all of a sudden Crawford beat him up. Give him the beating of a lifetime. And now you're like, no, because Errol Spence had an accident. And you know, that day they couldn't find good weed, so he could only smoke trash. And the dog ate his gloves, so he had to use some alternate gloves. I don't know how many excuses y'all had. It was too many to count. But ultimately, we saw what Terrence Crawford did. Beating of a lifetime. The lunatic librarian. Boost remind me of the hype that Spence got fighting 140 fighters at 147. Then he met Terrence Crawford. Now, I don't think that's a fair assessment because he beat Kell Brook. That's one of the champions that he beat. That's not a 140 fighter. That's a welterweight. He beat Sean Porter. That's not a 140 fighter. That's a welterweight. He beat Ugas. That's not a 140 fighter. That's a welterweight. So, you know, Errol Spence beat Danny Garcia, of course, who had been already a champion in the welterweight division. So Errol Spence wasn't fighting little guys. He may have fought someone who moved up, but in most cases, nah, he was fighting regular big dudes. Well, he did fight, you know, little ass Mikey Garcia, you know, beat him up. 2 left hooks. I thought Errol was going to beat Spence. Damn, you thought Errol was going to beat Spence? You thought you were going to beat Crawford? The lunatic librarian. I called the 9th round TKO. I want so much money. Man, I told people. I said, Terrence Crawford is going to beat Errol Spence and he's going to stop him in the 8th or the 9th round. In some videos, I would say it's the 8th round. In some video, I would say it's the 9th round. But I saw that stoppage coming a mile away. Young Guns, Jay Smith. What do you make of Buzz saying Spence ain't a Hall of Famer? I mean, you have to think about it from his point of view as a fighter. You know, Crawford has won titles in so many divisions and has been undisputed in more divisions than anybody in history. So you got to see where he set his bar. For the bar that he set, Errol Spence is not a Hall of Famer. Now, do I see Errol as a Hall of Famer right now? I have to think about it. Because right now, he's a 3-belt champion. But that's it. Errol Spence hasn't won in more divisions. You know, there's a lot of things that Errol Spence hasn't done. So he's a 3-belt unified champion, and that's it. Right there. So is he a Hall of Famer? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think you may need a little bit more. Because a great accomplishment is a great accomplishment, but it doesn't put you in the Hall of Fame. So do winning 3 belts in one division put you in the Hall of Fame? I'm not sure. I think he might be, like borderline almost in, but I'm not sure that he's in, to be honest with you. Like I told you, the Hall of Fame is about accomplishments. Do 3 belts in one division get you in? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Unless you have like a record break amount of title defenses, then that's a different story. There's fighters, Marvelous Marvin Hagler for his whole career at 168. A lot of people don't know that. He never moved up, never moved down. Whole career, 168. He got the record of title defenses in the division. Man, I can't even remember off the top of my head how many title defenses he got. Is it 160? Am I tripping? I said 168. Is it 160? The letter M, do you think Tim Tszyu can beat Keith Thurman? Can Tim Tszyu beat Keith Thurman? I don't know. That's an interesting fight. That's a very interesting fight. I'm not sure, to be honest, because they're more evenly matched. Timmy did give Fundora a way better fight than Thurman. But Styles made fights. It's hard to call it on that one. Side, I think he fought Ray Leonard at 168, though. Daisy Sanchez, but he never defended the undisputed titles. The Lunatic Librarian, Marvin Hagler, undisputed middleweight champion. So, Daisy, you're right about that. But here's the point. There's 2 things that you can do. You can stick around to defend them, or you can move up and keep accomplishing. But you can't do both. If he would have stuck around in the welterweight division, he may have had I don't know how many defenses. But the point is that he would not have accomplished undisputed in another division. So it's just like Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao won in more divisions than everybody, but he never went for undisputed. You trying to win, move up and win, move up and win, move up and win. He never went even close to undisputed because of that. He chose to win in more divisions. Side, he didn't defend undisputed because he went to chase undisputed in another division. There you have it. You can see, here's the deal. You can stay in one division and keep protecting the same accomplishments, or you can go to another division and accomplish more. That adds to your resume. Young Guns, Floyd, or Pac-Man never went undisputed. That's a fact. Daisy Sanchez, others did the heavy lifting. It don't get no more heavy lifting than winning undisputed in 3 divisions. Nobody in the history of the sport of boxing has ever done it. So that's a real heavy lift. That's like a power lift. If you accomplish something that nobody in the sport of boxing has ever done, that's a pretty heavy lift. The Lunatic Librarian. Crawford was undisputed at 140. Then KOs everyone at 147. Everyone he faced in the welterweight division. Knocked out. Beat him up. Beat him up. But this win right here is the one that made Terence Crawford the superstar that he should have been this whole time. You got to remember, PBC froze him out. The moment he got to the welterweight division, PBC froze him out. They were like, nah, you're not fighting this guy, you're not fighting this guy, you're not fighting that guy. They had all the stars at 147. They had Keith Thurman, they had Errol Spence, they had Sean Gordon, they had all of them. They had Yordenis Ugas. They even got Manny Pacquiao, brought him over from Top Rank. So all the guys in the welterweight division who had a name, they had them over at PBC. if Terrence Crawford would have been able to move up and just fight anybody, like, you know, challenge and fight anybody, he would have became a big star years before he actually fought Arrow. Years before. Because he would have moved up to that division, won his WBO title, and right away he would have went after Keith Thurman, who had a belt, Danny Garcia, would have went after Arrow. He would have won. He would have went undisputed early and quick in the welterweight division. And he would have became a big name right then and there. But it wasn't possible. And I'll tell you, I said it before, they're going to make a movie about Terrence Crawford, because people don't understand how great his career actually was. People don't have that notion. Don't really comprehend. Don't see how it really played out. Because when he went to 147, that PBC froze him out. You know what could have easily happened? He could have lost that WBO title to Cal Brook. He could have lost it to Amir Khan. He could have lost it to Mean Machine. It happens in boxing, my peoples. Fighters lose. You saw Teofimo lose to George Kambosos. That happens in the sport of boxing. And if he would have lost that WBO title en route to trying to fight Spence, he would have never got that fight. Crawford would have never got Arrow. So what he had to do, he had to keep winning. He had to keep winning and winning and winning. And by the time Arrow had the 3 belts, he had no choice. 3 options for Arrow. 3 options. I want you to think about it. Number 1, you fight Terrence Crawford, which is what he did. Number 2, you vacate. You don't even vacate because Crawford is not your mandatory. You start defending your titles and you don't fight Crawford. And number 3, you vacate and you leave to 154 and don't fight Crawford. In which case, we're going to see you like a duck. If Errol Spence would have vacated and left to 154, we would have said, you a duck. So in other words, Errol had no choice. The people who froze Terrence Crawford out, at the end, they had no choice. That's it. The gig is up. And I told you guys before, they saved Crawford for last like he's the last master of a video game. He's Shang Tsung, Bison, King Koopa. He's the guy. They couldn't get past him. Couldn't do it. Couldn't save the princess. Side, my favorite 147 buff fight apart from Arrow was Mean Machine fight. But here's the deal, and here's the thing to consider. Terrence Crawford had that fight with Errol Spence and gave us one of the most spectacular performances we have ever seen in the ring. One of the best masterpieces we've ever witnessed. Versus an undefeated 3-belt unified champion. That's who he did that against. Painting his Picasso right there. JJ said that's in the building. Salute, family. Bam. Side. Bud was Shao Kahn. I'm telling you, man. You could say he was Shao Kahn. You could say he was King Koopa, Bison. Whoever you wanted to be, bro. Shang Tsung. It don't matter, bro. The last master, it was Terrence Crawford. Joe Kim, Bowser, King Koopa. That's Terrence Crawford right there. Errol Spence thought he was going to save the princess. Nope. The princess was in another castle. Errol got sent to the hospital. That was the castle he was sent to. But you have to understand how we got to witness history. We watched Terrence Crawford beat the guy that was supposedly going to beat him up, the big fish. And then after that, what did he do? Beat Canelo Alvarez. One of the biggest wins in boxing history. So Terrence Crawford, at the tail end of his career, gave us two of the biggest wins that we've ever seen. Two of the biggest wins of this generation. And one of the biggest wins in boxing history when he beat Canelo Alvarez. So the guy that was hated on, that was diminished. Remember when they say he don't make money like that? And when they say he not doing pay-per-views and he not putting butts in seats, and they always try to diminish his career. Went all the way to #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Went all the way to winning undisputed in 3 divisions, more than any fighter in the 4-belt era. And then did it in a fashion where he jumped up 2 divisions. Everybody's saying he's gonna lose. You know how many people told me that Terrence Crawford was only gonna fight Canelo for the bag, that he knew he was gonna get knocked out? A lot of people told me that. A lot of people told me that. The letter M, accident arrow or a big fish. Who shows up next? Well, that depends. If he wins, he's the big fish. If he loses, accident arrow. That all depends on the narrative that people want to put out there. Daisy Sanchez, in my eyes, Arrow had a choice. He was the popular guy. Some people might have called him a duck, but he had a solid fan base, and that's all he needed. You're talking about that's all he needed, Daisy, but the point is, it's not all he wanted. Remember, Errol Spence been telling us already for 2 years that his main goal is to become undisputed. How do you bounce back from that? How do you go from telling everybody, I want to be undisputed, to, well, you know, Crawford got the WBO. We're just going to leave that one alone. That's not going to be a good look. Remember, Daisy, they built their whole image on the big fish. Guy taking over. Now the big fish is going to show signs of being scared of Terrence Crawford. That would not have been good. And I want to tell you this, Daisy Sanchez. You see how you say that he had a solid fan base? They wasn't so solid if they turned his back on him as soon as he got his ass whooped. Look, notice, you even said it yourself. He had a solid fan base. Subconsciously, you said it in the past tense because you know that he don't have the same fan base right now that he had before the fight. So what happened? What happened with all the fans? They threw him under the bus. The same people that was calling him the big fish was then saying that he washed, that he not the same, that he cooked, all of that. Completely threw him under the bus. So he didn't have a solid fan base. That's the thing. In boxing, you have a solid fan base in the U.S. as long as you're winning. You're winning, you good. You lose, a lot of those fans turn their back on you. That's why I be giving props to UK fans. They fighters be having 4, 5, 6 losses. They still be backing them like crazy, selling out arenas. Look at Chisora. Chisora got what? 13 losses? His fan base crazy. Even with all them losses, it don't matter. Trent Thomas. Crawford was the secret boss of Kuma. Spence wasn't expecting the skill level. He wasn't expecting it, bro. He really was not. Spence went in there thinking that he was going to fight M. Bison. And in the very first round, Akuma showed up, whooped his ass. The letter M. Now they all clamoring for Crawford. And he said, nope, I'm going from the sport. Wait, bye-bye, you see? Crazy, right? Remember when Jermell Charlo was dissing him? Like, yeah, you stay down there. You got Arrow to deal with. We the big boys over here. Remember that? And at some point, after the fight with Canelo, Charlo was on camera talking about, it would be an honor to fight Crawford. It would be a pleasure to share the ring with him. Keith Thurman, too, went from dissing Crawford, who he fought, what he done, to, it would be an honor, and that would be the fight to make me and Crawford. Oh, man, that would be the fight. All these people that diss Crawford when he was at welterweight trying to get those fights, now they calling his name. Terrence Crawford retired as the best fighter of this generation. There's no getting around it. DJ Hecky. Too black or strong, too black, too strong, too talented for Canelo. And Errol reached a little too fast. Look, man, Errol Spence got one loss in his resume to the best fighter of this generation. So we have to see. We have to see what version of Errol Spence we're going to get if he does fight Tim Tszyu. We have to see it. Mickey Rourke. Octavi, salute family, bam. Mickey Rourke, imagine being undisputed for 12 years. Good God Almighty. Sometimes it's hard to even quantify greatness. And facts. Most Spence fans turn their backs on him. Damn shame. I'm telling you, my peoples. Spence fans literally threw him under the bus right after the fight. Right after the fight, he done. That's it. He not the same. He not. God damn. Y'all see you gave up on him? That's it? Joe King. Boxing fans are brutal and unforgiving. That's a fact, bro. You're on top of the world. They love you. One loss. If you get pummeled, that's it. You got exposed. You a hype job. You're not the same anymore. All type of shit. Octavi's. Not only fan base, countless YouTube channels. Oh my God, yo. YouTube channels completely. But oftentimes, man, that's YouTube channels from people who don't know shit about boxing. And they completely discredit fighters as soon as they take it out. The Lunatic Librarian. I was banned from many YouTube channels, gloating at the Spence KO loss. Oh, man. And look, a lot of people were celebrating it. That's true. Daisy Sanchez. But it's true. He never was the pay-per-view star. Even his last fight was a pro Canelo fan base after all his accomplishments. I know, Daisy, but look, and here's my honest question to you, right? Why would I even care whether or not he was a pay-per-view star? Like, why is that even part of the conversation, Daisy? Like, I watch all of his fights. Maybe you watch all of his fights too. Why do we really care whether or not he was a pay-per-view star? You see, so that's a way that fans try to diminish Crawford. Because pay-per-view only suggests the type of money that they make, but it doesn't suggest how many people watch. Millions of people watching Terrence Crawford. He's super popular. He became #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So why do you look for this negative angle? Well, yeah, but it's true he never was a pay-per-view star, though. It's like, how is that really? You don't even realize, but you're pocket watching. That's pocket watching, because why is that really relevant? Why do we care whether or not he was a pay-per-view star? When at the end of the day, he became the best, he became #1, and he made millions of dollars. He retired a millionaire. Why is that really relevant to us? Mickey Rourke, they eating humble pie. You see, they wanted an opportunity at Terrence Crawford, and he didn't give it to him. He was like, when I wanted a shot, y'all turned me away. Look at you now. The Lunatic Librarian. Many YouTube channels think they own the narrative, but in reality, just an opinion. They couldn't eat crow. The excuses came. Zero accountability, integrity. I mean, I tell you what, man, there's a lot of YouTube channels that you could see this is somebody who don't know shit about boxing. And they kind of just focus on what they like. On what they like, and that's it. And trying to discredit who they don't like. Joe King, beating Canelo catapulted Bud, of course. That's the biggest win of his career. But, you know, the way that his whole career played out, where people try to diminish him, right? Look what Daisy brought up, right? Oh, well, he really wasn't a pay-per-view star like that. So people always try to diminish Terrence Crawford. But just think about it. He retired. He made like $100 million with Canelo Alvarez. Like his purse and other money that he made off of that fight, like $100 million. Right before that, he made a lot of money at 154 when he won his title. And then with Canelo Alvarez, with Errol Spence, I think he made like 30 million or something like that. So Crawford has all type of endorsements, all type of investments. This guy has millions and millions of dollars. He's wealthy. Like, he's good. That's it. He's wealthy for the rest of his life. Millionaire for the rest of his life. So we're really bringing up, well, he didn't do pay-per-view like that, though. He wasn't a pay-per-view star like that. How is that really relevant? How is that really even part of the conversation? That's what YouTube does. It makes up crazy talking points. The letter M. Oh, my God. Imagine how Crawford will beat Thurman up. Jesus Christ. Jesucristo. Crawford would batter Keith Thurman. And he would have battered him years ago when he was trying to get him at 147. Put the beating of a lifetime on him. Daisy Sanchez, Canelo lost a couple of times, and still to this day, it's the cash cow. The letter M. Do you think Tim Tszyu can beat Keith Thurman? I'm not sure if Tim can beat him, but I know that's a competitive fight. That's a real good fight. They will definitely go at it. Mickey Rourke, how old is Spence? I mean, Crawford is 38 or 39, so that will make Errol Spence like 37. If I'm not mistaken, Errol's like 37. The letter M. Let's get one thing straight. Pay-per-view is dead. I mean, pay-per-view done. Pay-per-view's cooked. Look what Netflix and the Zone little by little, they're going to take away that pay-per-view model and just follow with what Netflix is doing. Well, if you got Netflix, you got the fight. The Lunatic Librarian, the pay-per-view narrative never made sense. PBC original platform was free. Fights back on national television. Never worked. I'm telling you. With that pay-per-view, you see, here's what people don't understand. And I tried to explain this before, and it flew over a lot of people's head. You see how when they was in the welterweight division, Errol, Danny, Keith, Sean Porter, all these guys, they used to be talking about they making the money and Crawford ain't making no money and you know, they the ones getting the bag and all of this stuff. Probably remember that, you know, that era, that time. Well, when you don't understand and when you celebrate, well, these guys were getting pay-per-view and Crawford wasn't, why the hell you think Showtime pulled the plug on boxing? You're not understanding that PBC ran Showtime boxing into the ground. That shit was losing money. So all these fighters was being overpaid. Showtime overpaid thinking that these guys were going to become superstars, and they're going to bring all these new subscribers to Showtime, and that just never happened. So Showtime actually ended up losing mad money on boxing, and that's why they pulled the plug on the sport. So the things you celebrate about these people making all that money, that's the reason why Showtime ended up out of boxing. They literally ran Showtime out of boxing. So you celebrating what actually brought a downfall from boxing. Understand that. That's what you're celebrating. That's like a bunch of people running a store and steal a bunch of stuff. And you're celebrating that they got free stuff, but then they close the store down. You're like, shit, now I can't go to the store to buy nothing. It's closed. So why would you celebrate the people that were stealing from there? Now the store is closed and you can't go in. So that's what happened. The letter M. Sean Porter, underrated, one of my favorite fighters. Never ducked anyone. I mean, come on now. Sean Porter was one of those guys that was really willing to fight everybody and anybody. And you know his style was always exciting to watch. High volume puncher, pressure fighter. Sean Porter was a dog, bro. And he accomplished. He became a world champion. Joe King. Trent Wynn. Fighting Canelo is like hitting the lotto. You got that Canelo back. Ray Teflon. I'm a little bit older than the casuals. So I see Crawford super overrated. I mean, if you're older, it should be the other way around. If you're older, you should not see Crawford as super overrated. You should see him like that. This guy's the goods. Mickey Rourke. Pay-per-view is not dead. It's close to it, bro. It's close to it. These and the numbers show that it's close to it. You know why? These cards that they put on pay-per-view, $70, $80. Go look at the numbers. They're not even publishing the numbers, man. They hiding them numbers. Because a lot of people not buying them cards, bro. That's it. Those days, little by little, it's going to be a wrap for that pay-per-view model. The pay-per-view model that we'll see is, you know, if you got the zone and maybe some bigger fights, they tell you, okay, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll pay $30 for this fight. If you're not subscribed, you're going to have to pay $60, $70, or whatever it is. Or with Netflix, you might see fights that if you're subscribed, you get it at a cheaper price. If you're not subscribed, you got to pay a lot more money. We might see that. But pay-per-view as we know it, that shit is cooked. All you have to do is look at what everybody's doing. Look at the contracts everybody's signing with platforms. Pay-per-view's cooked. Trent Thomas, pay-per-view is over. Netflix is going to kill the light like they did Blockbuster, and cable TV. That's it. No, because look, Netflix is doing what the Zone was supposed to be doing. They took that model. Because remember, the Zone originally said, you just subscribe and you're going to get the fights. And then they started throwing some of those fights on pay-per-view, which got fans mad, like, damn, what happened? But most the Zone fights are on regular on the app. And if you subscribe, you got the fight. But Netflix is putting everything just on Netflix, not pay-per-view. So that's going to push the Zone, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime. That's going to push all the other applications, or everybody else that's doing boxing is going to force them to follow a model where you stream the fight and you charge people to subscribe to the app. Not every fight $70, every fight $80. That's dead, my peoples. That's not going to keep happening. Remember, I told you this. That's going to be done and over with. I'm telling you that. My people's another upcoming fight. Another upcoming fight, fellas. Dalton Smith versus Alberto Puello. Ooh. You guys may recall that Alberto Puello lost to Zurdo Matias in a very competitive fight, a very close fight, that some people felt like he won. It's the type of fight that he should have got a rematch. He was the champion. But Dalton Smith got a crack at Zurdo Matias, and he beat him. Beat him up. By the way, I predicted that. I told people Dalton Smith was going to put it on him, and that's exactly what he did. So now, this fight is announced. It's going to be a good fight. Gonna be a good fight. Daisy Sanchez, Puello needs to KO. Fighting in the UK. Listen, I was looking at information about this fight. When I saw where this fight is taking place, I was like, listen, Alberto Puello is either going to have to beat the shit out of him, like brutally, or knock him out to walk out of there with the W. Those people are not going to let you get a decision. Unless you dish out the beating of a lifetime, you're not going to win that fight. We already seen how the commentary goes down in the UK, how the referees be acting in the UK, how the judges be scoring in the UK. You got to give that man the beating of a lifetime or stop him. I'm telling you that right now. The lunatic like Brian. I'm going back to VHS tapes. Joe King, UK bogus. I saw how they tried to do Wilder. I'm telling you. The way they be scoring them fights over there. I definitely won't trust the UK judges. Seen too much shenanigans over there. I mean, we seen what they did to Bakram Mortasaliev. We seen it. The letter M. Puello needs to leave with a body bag to win. Mickey Rourke. That's why I was shocked. They gave it to Wilder. UK judges always shiesty. I think it got to a point in that fight because they scored it. Some of those cards were close. They scored it in a way where there's nothing they could do at the end of the fight. You saw Chisora ran out of gas and he was getting lumped up out there. If it would have been a closer fight, but they had to give it to Wilder. That's just the reality. What the fuck is this? They had to do it. But this is going to be a good fight, my peoples. You know the style. You know what Dalton Smith brings to the table. I've been trying to put people on before he fought Zurdo Matias. I've been talking about him. Y'all seen him. Now he's going to fight Alberto Puello, who's been a world champion. This is going to be a real good fight. It's going to be one of those. Underrated. Well, hit that like button. My peoples, come on, man. We've been at it for an hour and a half. Not even 30 likes in an hour and a half of sweet science. Trent Thomas. In UK, you have to stop the opponent or knockout. I'm telling you, man, when you go to the UK, you got to dish out the beating of a lifetime, bro. They not just going to give you that win. Here's another upcoming showdown, my peoples. Alexander Usyk versus Rico. We just say Usyk versus the kickboxing dude. That's it. I don't even say Usyk versus Rico. It's Usyk versus the kickboxing dude. The kickboxing legend dude. We know how this is going to play out. We know Usyk is going to put the beats on him. It's a cherry pick. It's a legitimate cherry pick. Now, I like the fact that they staged this fight at the pyramids. That's cool. And the promotion for it, the Roman type of outfits and everything about it, the way that that Ring Magazine, Real Season, the way they promoted this, I like it. They killing it. But it's a cherry pick. Nice little cherry pick. Make it Rourke. I will be pirating this Usyk fight. They're not getting my money, Jay Smith. I'd rather give it to you to hear that devastating blow, ladies and gentlemen. The letter M. Usyk comes out looking like a pharaoh. how much I want to bet. I mean, that would be, you know, right there with the theme. Let's see it. Maybe they both come out like pharaohs. I don't know. But I think what's more interesting to me about this fight is the layout. You know, they fighting in Egypt, they fighting in front of the pyramids, all the visuals. But I don't expect this guy Rico, this kickboxing guy, I don't really expect him to have a chance to even be close. Can't see it happen. The lunatic librarian, I'll bet you he doesn't. Ray Teflon. The simple fact is, I've seen way more fights and I've seen real legends in the ring than most people. How do you figure that? My guy, you're wrong. Most fighters these days are all overrated. I mean, I don't know. That we're formulating opinions, right? We're formulating opinions. But the way you said, I've seen way more fights. My brother, and I say this respectfully, did you watch the Top Gun movie with Tom Cruise? You could watch 1,000,000 fighter jet movies, but you still won't know shit about flying a jet. So you could watch all the boxing in the world. That really doesn't mean shit. It could give you confidence in what you feel you know, but that's meaningless. That's why I make that example. Watch a fighter jet movie. Watch 100 fighter jet movies. That doesn't mean you could fly a jet or you know anything about flying jets. Watching 1,000,000 boxing matches for 1,000,000 years is not going to make you a boxing expert. You're watching it. That's it. You can't put too much weight on your own opinion when you're just watching it, my G. Mickey Rourke. That's more Fury style. The letter M. Mickey Rourke. True facts, J. Smith. Let them know. That's the perfect analogy. I'm telling you, because watching TV, everybody becomes an expert. Everybody's an expert. And everybody knows. Trent Thomas. Usyk wins. This wants to go out with the belt. Never heard of this kickboxer. And I am a martial artist. So I'm going to say this. Look, there's people out there who have told me that dude is a really good martial artist. Like, he a legend, and I'm assuming he got a bunch of wins and knockouts and all of that stuff. Because he a kickboxer, right? But ultimately, anybody who practices a different combat sport and goes to box with a boxer, boxing rules, they getting beat up, my peoples. They getting beat up. Getting beat up. That's the reality. We've seen it over and over and over. There is no martial art that is as effective as boxing when it comes to punching alone. I understand if you kick and punch or you grapple and punch, you mix it up, MMA. Oh, MMA guy can beat a boxer. But if you come from any other martial art so that we can box, you're going to get your ass whooped. You're going to get beat up. Unless you have some type of advantage, then that's different. Like De Silva beat Chavez Jr. But Chavez Jr. already a full-blown cokehead. Personal life is out of order. Like, getting arrested for dealing with the cartel and everything. Like, come on, man. Like, this guy. So that's not even a real fight. But if you take a boxer, I put it to you like this. You could take a blue-chip amateur boxer, you know, somebody who's competing at a world level, you know. You take a kid like that, 20 years old, and he will beat a world champion MMA guy, a world champion kickboxer, a world champion anything in boxing, in the boxing ring. They're not going to stand a chance. Simple as that. Boxing is a whole different game. Ray Teflon. No, but you definitely know who's overrated. You're telling me you definitely know who's overrated, but you say everybody or a lot of people are overrated. But how do you know based on watching TV who's overrated? How reliable is your opinion on who's overrated and who isn't? The letter M. Dude is legit, but not to fight Usyk on a main stage. I mean, I think I heard dude got like one professional fight, if I'm not mistaken. So he legit in kickboxing. He not legit in boxing. He getting pummeled. Made to look bad. Side, if Bud is overrated, then every modern fighter must be overrated. I mean, that's the thing. If somebody says that Crawford is overrated, it can only be two things. Number one, they don't know shit about boxing. So if you don't know shit about boxing, then you can say that because you don't know anything about the sport. Or number two, you simply don't like Crawford. Because that's the thing. If you've been rooting against Terence Crawford his whole career, you're always rooting against him, always hating, always talking negative about him, right? What else do you got left? The guy retired #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, most undisputed titles in history in the 4-belt era, before somebody want to correct me. So what can you say about him? Fighter of the Year, Ring Magazine champion. What can you really say? So now all you got left is to hate on his career. Even though he retired undefeated and got some of the biggest wins that we've ever seen, what do you got left but to hate? That's the difference between a hater and somebody who's actually seeing what's happening and witnessing history. I've had people who actually hit me up the day after the fight, or who went on the show the day after the fight and told me, yo, Jay, you was right about Terence Crawford. He's the guy. That's it. That's it. He was right. And I'm not talking about just one person. During the next day, during that episode of Boxing for Breakfast, mad people showed up. They just accepted it because it had been like 3 months straight of us talking about that fight almost every day. And people every day talking about what the outcome was going to be. So by the time the fight ended, and it was obvious that Crawford beat Canelo, obviously. And they didn't steal it from Canelo. Crawford wasn't gifted the W. He beat him. And when he beat Errol, it was the same thing. People hit me up like, yo, Jay, you was right. You was right. This guy's the guy. The lunatic librarian. Caleb Plant went from kickboxing to boxing. Same with Chris Algieri. The letter M, sweet science, overall. Yeah, but you have to understand the lunatic librarian. They changed to that sport and dedicated themselves to that sport. Caleb Plant didn't accomplish shit in kickboxing, and neither did Algieri. So it's not like they became world champions and then decided, I want to be a world champion boxer, and did it both. They started training in this martial art, and they completely transitioned over and dedicated 100% to boxing. The letter M, sweet science overall. That's the best combat sport. The numbers say it. The numbers prove it. Side, we saw what happened to Jake Paul. Clown. Damn, man. Jake Paul got that jaw broken in a way that I've never seen in my life. I never heard of a jaw being broken in 2 places. That shit broke at the point of impact and on the other side. AJ crushed him. And even like that, people wanted to say that the fight was staged. I'm about to tell you, sometimes people watch too much TV, yo. How you gonna say that shit's staged? They broke the man's jaw in a way that he might never recover his whole life. Trent Thomas. Boxing is the king of punching. You're right, bro. There's nobody, no sport can punch better than boxing. That's just the reality. Trent Thomas, we have to see a true mixed martial art fight. It's hard to make the rules. MMA fighters fight with formula or rules. Nah, it's that boxing is boxing. I don't want to see boxers fighting no mixed nothing. I want to see boxers with boxers. That's it. MMA guys go fight MMA guys because you're going to get pummeled trying to box. You're going to keep getting pummeled. Claymore Rain in the building. Salute, family. Bam. Crawford is the greatest boxer of this era, hands down. But it's generational. That is fact, Claymore. Crawford already went all the way to the top of the food chain for this generation. This was his era right here. Let's see who's going to take over next, but Terence Crawford's the guy. For sure. Mickey Rourke, Jay Smith, and for all the people that was able to see Hagler, is Crawford this generation Hagler? I mean, we could say that he is. You know, Crawford is more accomplished than Hagler. But we could say, you know, there's a lot of similarities between them. And by the way, Hagler is somebody who was able to switch from orthodox to southpaw, since you bring it up. Young Guns, De La White, I know, transfer from kickboxing to boxing. Underrated. You see, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. Is athletes who did this sport, right? And then they transferred over to this one and fully dedicated themselves to this one and had a whole career in this one. It's not the same as you have a whole career in this one and now you say, yeah, I want to try this too. I'm going to do this too. Nah, none of those people even had a chance. Underrated Will. Jamal needs to get back on that Canelo plant smack. Man, listen, I want to see Jermell and Jermall Charlo back in the ring. I want to see both of them. But, my people, look at this list that Bill Haney put out there. I want you guys to check out this list. Check that out, y'all. Bill Haney. In the order that he put it in. Number 1, Teofimo Lopez. Number 2, Shakur Stevenson. Number 3, Gervonta Tank Davis. Number 4, Jerome Boots Ennis. Number 5, Brian Norman Jr. So that's a rematch. Number 6, Mario Barrios. Number 7, Keyshawn Davis. Number 8, Rolis Romero. Number 9, Conor Benn. Number 10, Ryan Garcia. Damn. He put Ryan Garcia last on the list. Put him dead last. Ricky Barley, Bill be capping. Pugilism. Boxing is the most neutral grounds of combat sports entertainment. It just takes hands and everybody can bite out the boxing apple. Boxing is king combat sport. That's a fact. Boxing is the best combat sport that there has ever been, that there is, and that there will be. Nothing is going to get past boxing. Ricky Barley, don't want smoke with Boots. Side Barrow shouldn't even be there. Yeah, but remember, Boots was down to fighting Devin, but he wanted to fight him at a catch weight, like 150 or something like that. And Devin was moving up to 147, so he's like, nah, fight me at 147. So there was a possibility of that fight, and we're probably going to see it at 154. The letter M, Garcia should be first. I mean, I think Bill put Garcia for last because they've been going back and forth and talking shit on social media. Side, Teo at first, at number 1. I think Teo may be number 1 because they already been engaging each other behind the scenes. Teofimo and Devin may already be trying to make that fight happen. The Lunatic Librarian. Algieri 20-0 kickboxing record with a blah, blah, blah world championship. Then became WBO 140 world champion. But he quit kickboxing and went to boxing. So it's the same thing. He transferred over. Boom. I got a boxing career. I'm done with that shit. Mickey Rourke, gotta admit, Bill gets all my respect how he moves in boxing. Listen, I saw Bill Haney, and you guys saw it too, and you may not remember it, but I saw Bill Haney make the transition from a guy who was real quiet, who didn't talk a lot, who was talking professional. I saw him make that transition into the Bill Haney that we see now. He got this character that he created for social media, where he talks a certain way, where he does a lot of trash talking, where he's always, inciting for this fight or for that fight. And it has worked. There's those who don't like Bill Haney out there, but he has done an exceptional job of promoting Devin Haney. You gotta respect him. Gotta respect him. Look at the resume. Look at the names that Devin Haney has already beat. Look at the accomplishments, the titles that he's already won. So Bill Haney done an amazing job with his pops. But we don't know what's next. What is next for Devin Haney right now? We don't know. At one point, he was going back and forth with Ryan Garcia. He was going back and forth with Rollies. And it looks like neither one of those fights is going to happen. What's next for Devin? And of course, what's next for Shakur Stevenson, y'all? We saw Shakur win a title in his last outing in the 140 division versus Teofimo Lopez. He was going back and forth on social media with Ryan Garcia, but nothing came out of that. Who will Shakur Stevenson fight next? Will he fight at 140, or will we see him in the 135 division? That remains to be seen. Who else we want to see? Tank Davis. Who's Tank Davis going to get in the ring with? Right now, look how interesting it is. At this very moment, Devin Haney doesn't have an opponent lined up. Neither does Shakur Stevenson. And Tank has not announced who he's going to fight yet. If you think about those three names, I would love to see a fight come out of this trio. You could give me Shakur versus Devin. You could give me Shakur versus Tank. You could give me Tank versus Devin. Any one of those fights. Any one of those fights, my peoples. I'm all in. Now, that's wishful thinking, of course, because Tank Davis is coming off of inactivity, and it looks like he's going into the 140 division, but we don't know that yet. That hasn't been announced. His next opponent hasn't been announced. We've been hearing that it's going to be Pitbull Cruz, but there's also reports out there that Tank is pushing to make the rematch with Lamar Roach, which we do want to see that fight. We want to see it. But in reality, we don't know what's next for Tank Davis, fellas. We don't know. Let's see. Mickey Rourke. Tank need to go ahead, settle the issue with court. But Tank seems like a duck. Like he ducking Shakur. I mean, he ducking Shakur. He ducking Shakur. That's the reality. If there's one fight that Shakur Stevenson wants badly, that he's been calling for, it's Tank Davis. It's Tank Davis. Shakur won it. The letter M. Haney versus Garcia. Teo versus Shakur 2. Tank versus the stripper. Whoa. Side. I'm not comparing them. I'm just stating another kickboxer who went to boxing. Yeah, listen. There's been, and I know females. There's females. I can't remember names off the top of my head. Who were kickboxers, went to box. Oh, this girl. Holly Holm. Yeah, Holly Holm became big in boxing or accomplished. So we've seen it. But the point is that if you're not gonna dedicate yourself to boxing, like if you're like any of these MMA guys, any of these kickboxers, any of these people who have their whole career over here and they're gonna try a fight, they ain't gonna get beat up, my people. Beat up. That's the reality. My peoples, I'm about to end this episode of Boxing for Breakfast. I want to give everybody a shout out who tuned in this morning. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's all about the sweet science. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And let me give you the word of the day. Let me give you the word of the day before we get the hell out of here and go make this money. Because we got to work, right? We got to get this bread. Here's the word of the day from Jay Stradamus. My peoples, you need to remember that at the end of the day, the only money that counts is your money. That's the only money that counts. Forget about the money that other people got. Forget about the money that other people making. You guys probably noticed that, every morning we have multiple topics that are prepared to talk about for Boxing for Breakfast. But we never really have a talking point about who's making the most money. We never have a talking point about who's getting paid the most. You know why? Because I don't really give a damn about all that. I know that these guys are making millions of dollars. I'm not making millions of dollars. I don't have $1 million. I don't have $100,000. I don't have $50,000. So if I don't got $50,000 in the bank, what the hell am I going to be arguing about millions of dollars? Nah, because this guy make more millions than that guy. Man, shut your goofy ass up. That's goofball shit. Forget about other people's money. And when I say forget about other people's money, I'm not just talking about athletes and, celebrities. I'm talking about anybody, even people around you, even people that you know. There's somebody out there who make more money than you. There's somebody out there who make less money than you. Neither one of them matters. What matters is your money. So forget about the pocket watching. Forget about counting other people's money. Forget about, and even more, forget about making other people's money a talking point. I respond to people. Oh, who got more money? This fighter, who made more money? I respond. I don't want to be rude. But that's goofy behavior to focus or even think about other people's money. I don't give a damn about other people's money. I'm busy trying to get my own. You dig? So there you have it, my peoples. That's the word of the day. Stop the pocket watching. Focus on your money. And that's how things go good for you and they go good for everybody else. Salute to everybody who tuned in to this episode of Boxing for Breakfast. Mickey Rourke, the letter M, Al Bugger, the lunatic librarian, JJ Zendejas in the building. I see it, my peoples. I appreciate y'all, man. This episode of Boxing for Breakfast is dedicated to you. Pugilism was also in the building. Yes, sir. Come on, man. Y'all already know. We're going to go get this bread. Shaggy was in the building as well. Bam, rock it with me. One love to everybody who tuned in, my peoples. Tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be talking boxing. Another episode of Boxing for Breakfast coming through. Jay Smith, man, I'm signing off. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Peace.